Pleasant afternoon to everyone. I hope all of you are doing well and healthy. I am Eric John Vista from the Alumni Relations Office, and I will be your host for today. Thank you for joining the Alumni Relations Office with their program, the FEU Alumni Speakers Bureau webinar series. We are in another installment of the webinar series, and for this afternoon, just like any other sessions we have, we bring you relevant topics which are informative and useful in our daily lives. And today, our discussion will revolve around a credit report. What is a credit report? How important it is to us, especially in our personal finances? Questions on this and more will be answered further by our FEU alumni speaker. With this, it is with great honor and privilege to introduce to you our speaker. Ruchell Salas currently holds a full-time position as the company's marketing, communications, and brand manager in the Philippines' first and local credit bureau, the CIBI Information Incorporation. Her established experiences and track record in marketing communication continue helping the company adapt to the new digital market and platforms. Rochelle is also a millennial entrepreneur and founder and CEO of Cash Finder Philippines, a lead generation loan platform that directs borrowers to an exclusive FI/bank partner. Before starting Cash Finder at 23, Rochelle started Sync Marketing Group. This complete IT marketing interactive servicing agency offers a wide array of customized services in web design and development, IT services, creatives, public relations, and digital marketing. The small agency she started together with her colleagues will be turning 4 this year. During her academic years, Rochelle is a consistent honor student and scholar, finishing her studies as a salutatorian and cum laude, and continues creating good credentials in her field up to this date. She successfully serviced household name brands mainly in the tech scene like Microsoft, BPI, Disney, Marvel and Star Wars mobile phones and accessories, Cloud Phone, Hyundai Mobile, and a whole lot more. Ladies and gentlemen, a loud and proud alumna from the Institute of Arts and Sciences, our speaker, Ms. Rochelle Salas.
Thank you for the kind introduction. Hello, everyone. It's always nice to partner with universities to discuss things about credit. This will also serve as a breather, knowing that we have more students in the call, though those working in the corporate are also welcome to participate. I hope you guys are safe, and I am also excited to discuss these things with you. So, one of the things that inspired us with this whole financial literacy drive campaign is through a video I saw on TikTok. And yes, I'm a bit guilty. I'm part of the population drawn to TikTok. Not to do challenges, because that's something that I cannot do, but to really get insights about how the youth manages one's credit and finances. So I've stumbled upon a lot of content, a lot of videos talking about finances, about credit, about the use and the right manner of using credit cards, all those things you can see and view on TikTok. Sadly, there's just a small number of people discussing credit scores, and most of them are based abroad. So I've seen a lot of content creators on TikTok discussing these things, but I've seldom stumbled upon some content creators here in the Philippines. So CIBI thought of partnering with universities, and luckily, we happen to be aligned with FEU. So the Far Eastern University accepted our invitation for today's webinar. So I promise to not bore you today, but don't worry, we'll make this worthwhile. Are you guys ready? Because I'm going to give you some lecture today. But again, as I mentioned earlier, I'll make sure that this will be worth your time. So as you can see from our slide today, I want to ask you guys, are you credit worthy? This question actually is something that not most of us are privy about. And when we talk about credit worthy, we associate this with credit scores or credit report, which I know most of you guys are not aware about. But don't worry, I'll make sure that I'll go through the steps and process on how you can acquire your credit report. So individuals and consumers everywhere can freely get this, of course, at a cost, but definitely we make it to a point that it will be affordable for those people who want to get it. So, all right, let's start. Next slide, please. All right, checking your credit report once a year is good for your financial wellness. And I hope you guys agree with me there. It lets you know if you're credit worthy enough to be approved for a loan or for a credit card. This way, you'll never have to wonder whether you'll get an approval or denial from the bank each time you borrow money. So most of us here, not sure if of course there are also working students there or those people in their 18 or in their 20s still studying that has their own credit card, or maybe if you have a gadget loan from a provider. Most of us might apply on our first time and get rejected. So if you are wondering why you are getting this approval, then you might be very interested in listening to what a credit report is. So your credit report gives you an idea of your financial health, much like how your annual physical exam results reveal important details about your physical health. That's why, again, I always mention that you have to have your credit health checked. Just like when you do your physical health exams, especially if in the future you would want to have your dream car or maybe purchase a house if you plan to settle down. So those are the things that maybe you have in mind, or associating that word credit report word through loans or any other terms related to credit. One of the ways you can get your report is through CIBI, as we hold a facility that engages in collecting, developing, and transcribing credit information to provide analytics on the credit standing score and ratings. So in the next slide, I would quickly guide you on the difference and give you an idea how will you understand or analyze what your credit report or score is. Next slide, please. An individual's credit report, should they have prior or current credit exposures, contains consolidated positive and negative credit data and other relevant information as submitted by the financial institutions they transact with. The report reflects basic personal information, government-issued IDs, of course, your address. Those are the things that they include there, and of course, the contact details. Some of the things that they also include there would be your financial contracts, credit card records, among others. So if an individual has no credit exposures, the report will contain a statement reflecting the absence of such. So you see, if you think that your behavior, your payment behavior is not being monitored, you are thinking the wrong way, because banks and financial institutions are really checking these things to make sure that the person they are giving the money to or lending to will pay off, or the account will not turn sour. So it's very important to know that having these things will actually empower the borrower to defend if they should be approved for a loan in a way. So also known as MyScore, this is the credit score provided by CIBI, and this is generated by the leaders in credit scoring and analytics, combining both local and global expertise. That of CIBI as the first and only Filipino credit bureau since 1982. So imagine that we've been in the industry for 39 years, and we're celebrating our 40th anniversary next year. In terms of our affiliation, we have FICO, which is a world leader in analytic solutions since 1956. So that's something that we take pride in. And further going through the details, it also contains the reason codes. Of course, you would know, and we will give you an idea of the valuation that you got, or the basis for the score, which ranges from 300 being the lowest to 850 being the highest. If you get your report, this is something similar to what you will see once you receive it. So, of course, the title of our discussion today really revolves around how you can be credit worthy, or some of the tips that we give as a credit bureau to those people or those aspiring home or credit card owners to actually take these steps to ensure that in the future, if they would like to secure for a loan or a credit card, they'd be approved right away. But of course, it's always the discretion of the banks or any financial institution whether or not they would approve you or not. But again, as I mentioned earlier, it's very important that you have these things, because somehow, if you have a credit report, you can always go to the bank and defend yourself. So since this is very targeted, and again, it's very consumer centric, when we give you the credit report, you can always ask your banks if it's the correct information reflected on your report. And if there's any discrepancy, or if you think that there's a wrong information that the bank gave, you can always directly go to them and ask for an update. Next slide, so that we can proceed with some of the tips that we would like to share to the group. So as you can see on the screen, we're giving you 3 reasons why having good credit is important. It cuts across, actually, to be honest with you. When we talk about good credit, these are the things that most people fail to maintain. And having good credit cuts across, because your present day might not be affected, but in the future, if you want to upgrade, or you want to get, or you want to build your family, of course you will definitely get a car or a house. All of those are the things that we dream of and aspire, right? So it's very important to take note of these things as early as now, especially to the students that we have in the meeting. To all the students listening, especially others in the corporate, let's make it a habit to have your credit health checked. And if you are new to your job or has plans on applying for a loan, or maybe getting started and opening your mind to the importance of credit reports, these are all crucial in fulfilling your financial goals in the future, as I said earlier. Whether it's for the purpose of getting your dream house or opening a business, this is very important, especially for the small entrepreneurs. You have especially if this is something that you have dreamed of, knowing these things are worth your time when your future is at stake, right? So you can see loud and clear on your screen, loans require good credit. This is so important. It pays to know how good or bad your credit standing is at any given time, because lenders specifically look for borrowers with good credit standing, since it may result, to higher chances of finishing off a debt rather than go with the loan requester that may default over time. Again, they would want to prevent themselves from giving a loan to someone to an account that may turn sour towards the end. Credit card providers also see this as a factor in terms of extending credit limit to those who aspire to own a credit card in the future. Building a good credit standing is required as early as now to ensure that your future loan application will be a success. So to those students in the call, congratulations, because you being in the call and you being open to these topic is actually a good opportunity for you to start building your financial goals. So on top of this, having a good credit also allows creditors to have more room to provide additional loan product offers to qualified borrowers with existing loans. So if just in case you want to reapply or you want to refer, maybe since you have a good credit, they might as well think of giving you another application for another loan type, because most banks do that to those who has good payment behavior or those who have good credit. Next slide. This is a bit tricky, to be honest, in terms of negotiating space for lower interest rate. So the smartest financial move anyone can make is to maintain a good credit history, which we just discussed earlier. And by paying your bills on time, you are not just removing your present burden, but also helping your future self with lower interest rate on your next loan. So just in case you are applying for a loan and you feel like you would want to have a lower interest rate, you might as well get a credit report, review it, check for any discrepancies or dispute, and maybe you can forward it to your bank provider or your fintech provider, just in case you want to haggle or negotiate for a lower interest rate, because definitely that's something that you can do. Lenders like to see good paying habits in your credit history, as this gives them some assurance that the account won't turn sour. So a good credit history gives borrowers an option to bargain or ask for a lower interest rate, especially for loan renewal requests. If you have plans on upgrading your car or buying your dream house, now is the best time to practice good credit habits. As mentioned, this group is actually at a good position. If you guys are entering your new jobs, having these things in mind will help you in your first maybe credit card application, right? Next slide. We put this on the last part of the tips because we feel like this is one of the things that most of us are aspire. If we have good credit, there's higher chances for us to get credit and loan approval. So the credit approval process varies depending on several factors as creditors use different models to evaluate a request before coming up with an answer. As you all know, when you sometimes go to a specific bank, which I'm afraid to mention, you might feel like you have a higher interest rate, and if you transfer to another one, they have a lower one. And depending on the product offer that these banks have, if you have good payment behavior and you have established a good credit, they would give you higher chance. And the way I say it, minsan pagkakaguluhan ka pa because you're a good payer. So moving on, one thing remains solid. If you have a good credit standing, then there's a higher chance you'll get approved and claim your cards and check. With compliance and credit officers running through your papers, which is usually a lot, the first thing they will check is if you have an outstanding loan or balance with another provider. Most of the time, creditors take more time in validating this and would wait for the provider's feedback on your account. So just in case you have a remaining outstanding balance with a provider, say for example, a credit card company, and you also have another loan with another provider, they would ask feedback regarding your payment behavior. And most of the time, that's the reason why the underwriting or adjudication process takes longer. So if they find you have maybe a bad account with another provider, your application will receive outright disapproval. But of course, again, as mentioned, it will always be the discretion of the provider if they would allow you or they would approve your papers even after finding out about these things. But in most cases, usually it's for disapproval. Now, if you have a good standing, they'll definitely move your papers to the approved list. So those are the three tips that you can do in maintaining a good credit behavior. Next slide. So we kind of wanted to touch base quickly on some of the ways on how you can maintain good credit score. Building and maintaining a good credit score, for me, those are two different things that you need to look at for your long-term financial goals. So building something means you must maybe start somewhere, be it through credit cards or loan application. Though it's easy to start your journey, committing and maintaining good standing is not a walk in the park, believe me. So before you start your journey, these are the tips that maybe you can consider on how you can manage and use your credit wisely and responsibly. Let's go to the first way. Of course, this is very, very basic for us, is to establish good payment behavior. I know it's very hard nowadays. For those people who are still finishing up school or in their internship, it's very important that when you apply for a credit card or if you want a gadget loan maybe in the future, that you have established good payment behavior. Though it's hard, but make sure that you take down notes of your payment dues, because these are the things that you don't want to miss out because it might hurt your credit score. So if you're in your late 20s or early 30s, you might have plans of getting your dream house or upgrading your hand car, or maybe you want to upgrade the current phone that you have, or the current device that you are using. Having this plan implies going to banks to check for interest rates and corresponding loan product offers. And that's why financial institutions run different adjudication processes to assess and validate a borrower's loan request. So it cuts across in terms of the loanable amount that you are asking. So they would also check those things with your current provider. So one of the priorities is the client's payment behavior. Banks and loan providers will not approve an account if they know this will turn sour over time. And establishing a good payment behavior also provides you an option to negotiate charges and interest rates, especially if you can show proof that you have paid off all your loans on time. Next slide. This might be applicable to those working professionals already in terms of managing one's debt. So it's best to understand how keeping your credit involves managing both your new and outstanding accounts. It also pays to limit your new applications and existing credit to fully manage your debts. What I do whenever I have a big purchase, I'll make sure that the next day or the next cut off, I'll make sure to pay those debts off. So loan balances and credit lines may cause a big impact on your credit score. As suggested, limiting your applications and keeping your credit balance low is important to note. Try to also set your big purchases and goal on a yearly basis to allow you some time to breathe from constant spending and to avoid burning cash due to impulsive purchases. I know you guys are very aware of this, especially with online shopping, Shopee and Lazada. If you can try to uninstall it if it's payday, that will actually help you guys. Next slide. And lastly, we have here, sorry, I don't think this is the last. Hold on. Yep, I guess this is the last for the tips that we want to give out is to watch your credit report. The Philippines is part of the growing market, and that's why, as a company, CIBI really would like to partake in these initiatives with universities and encouraging the youth to have their credit health checked. Maybe not now because you might not have any outstanding balance, but maybe once you're working, if you have your first gadget loan or maybe your salary loan, you might want to have these things on a yearly basis so that in the future, if you would need to expand your business and get a working capital loans, at least there's something that you can check and assess, because through time you know that you are very aware that you are taking good care of your credit. So there's a lot of opportunities and best practices, of course, in terms of how we can learn from other developed countries, and one of which is the value of credit report. Remember to regularly have your credit health checked. It's very important to do that. So errors can end up in your credit report. This has been an issue that we are trying to solve. But again, it will be as easy as to report the dispute to your provider, or we can give you later on the email address whom we can report this to. And there's also a high chance that loan providers did not update your information, which is in the case most of the time, causing loans, you have accomplished to show up in your report. You can secure your credit score yourself once a year by requesting a report from CIBI, and that's something that I will discuss later on. Doing so will help you assess and evaluate if getting another loan will put you in a more favorable state in your next credit loan application. So as mentioned, this is something that you can request from CIBI. I think it's also best that you guys understand who our organization is. And I would also run through you with the process of how you can avail the credit report through our web app version. Next slide. So of course, it's very important that you also know who is the best organization or company who can help you with the consumer credit report. And one of the best options that you can do is through CIBI, of course, through us. So we take pride in what we do here in CIBI. As an established entity last 1982, we have served the Philippines, and we are the first and longest running credit bureau in the country. We have two types of services in CIBI. We have the credit bureau part, which we already touched base and will be discussing more later on. And we also have the credit information. We have people information and business intelligence. I know this might look like a jargon to most of you guys, but have you noticed whenever your relatives apply for a job, they would still go through credit investigation or CI services background screening? Majority of our clients get those services from CIBI, so we are very known in that aspect here in the Philippines. And with Credit Bureau, we have started it around 2016 or 2017, and we are gaining more traction in terms of this business. And right now, we are gearing towards educating the youth and making them aware of what a consumer credit is. CIBI defines its unique selling proposition as the ability to provide credit information and credit bureau services. And in terms of our approach when we market our products, we want to make sure that we hit the right market, and we also want to educate more people through our financial literacy drives. That's why we are having this session with the students of FEU and some of the working professionals who joined into the call. Next slide. We want to quickly discuss as well some of the highlights and some of our pride here in CIBI. We have a deep heritage. We have been in the business for 39 years, and we're celebrating our 40th anniversary next year. We are an established credit bureau, and as an accredited bureau of the CIC, we also want to partake in their goals in educating the youth. True enough, with the partnerships that we have been running with various organizations, I think we are also successful in that area, and we plan to do more of these moving forward. We also have diversified services. Our data analytics company and some of the value added services that we have now, we are translating it to an end-to-end solutions business. We also make sure that our services not just cater to the business sector, but right now we are slowly also tapping those on the consumer side. But definitely in terms of business, we are very well known in that aspect. We're also competent, considering the strengths and the local knowledge that we have. We have partnered with a lot of international entities, and we are proud with the company's leverage in terms of working in the international scene. Of course, our foreign clients are also happy with our services. We also support capabilities. Our entire client engagement process will start from us showing the clients what they need. We have sales to support the people who would like to avail our services, implementation, account management, and of course, after sales support. That's why most of our clients remained with CIBI for the longest time, and we plan to expand more with other industries, especially credit bureau as a business now becomes in a whole new level with consumers and small entrepreneurs required by banks to get credit reports. Though I know in terms of the penetration, it's a bit low at the moment, but definitely we're getting there. We also facilitate in CIC accreditation. Since we are an accredited bureau of the CIC, we also make sure that we work with institutions and fintech companies in making sure that they are compliant and that they are accredited to submit their data to CIC. So in that way, we are in that one ecosystem and aligned in providing more services to the mass. So we also want to quickly run through with our strategies rather, in terms of how we design and how we achieve our goals. So we want to skew the process here with growth, efficient operations, and of course mitigating risk and customer experience. In terms of growth, as mentioned, we want to tap more people and organizations to ensure that they have an idea what a consumer credit report is. We are also efficient in how we run our operations, making sure that we achieve the turnaround time that we commit to our clients. And in terms of mitigating risk, we assess and we provide, and we are equipped with the accurate tools and information to better understand the new customers, and of course to also improve those services that we have with our existing ones. In terms of customer experience, you can reach us through a lot of channels, and we also ensure that there's less physical interaction to ensure that we're all safe. And in terms of convenience and quick decisions, we provide it to our customers. We also provide a lot of webinars and other engagements with other organizations just to make sure that we hear them out, that we also get feedback from our clients, given this is a part of the business that is very hard to understand. That's why we are slowly transitioning and providing these insights to the younger generation so that in the future, they'll be equipped more. Next slide. I mentioned earlier that I'll quickly run through you with our web app version, and this is how you can actually avail the credit report that we were discussing earlier. So I hope I did not bore you guys with who CIBI is. I just want to make sure that you know who you're transacting to. Now we are going through the technical part, but I'll make sure that you will have a full grasp of what the web app version is and how you can download your credit report. Next slide. So everyone's gone online, And I'm pretty sure you guys would also ask how you can avail your reports online. Is this something that you can do fast, or will the registration take some time? These are the things that most of the people missed out because they think that it will be manual. But we made it very simple. So the steps on how to get a credit report here in the Philippines is easier than you might think, especially now that the Credit Information Corporation and CIBI, as their accredited bureau, has the web app version where you can register and create an account online, either through your desktop or your mobile phone. So we're talking about the web app version of the CIBI. As you can see here, we'll discuss the 6 parts, which is very easy, on how you can avail your credit report. So we will discuss the pre-registration process. We are very compliant with data privacy. Of course, we'll make sure that you give us your consent before we can process your information. There's also document uploading, scheduling, verification of your details, payment, and it's very easy. And that's when we can give you your credit report through our product, which is MyScore. Part one is the pre-registration and of course the consent part. It's very important for CIBI that we comply to the Data Privacy Act, and all of the things that we do here is compliant to DPA. And when we process things online, it's also important that our subject or those people requesting for it provides their consent. Next slide. The link where you can visit and get your credit report is through cibiapp.cibi.com.ph. We'll send out this link to those attendees of the call so that you can also check it on your free time, maybe if you want to explore, or I would suggest you can also do this if you would like to apply for a loan in the future, or if you are already a working student. This is something that you can definitely check out. Next slide. So our existing clients can actually register through Facebook using Facebook or Google Mail, but then you have to update the information because your name on Facebook or your name on your Gmail account might not be your real name. So it's very important that when you use it, you have to update it. And for the new users, definitely you'll just have to click register here, and you will be notified to prepare the documents that we'll be requesting from you for the second part of the process. So this is what I was explaining earlier, that you have to view the agreement and you have to accept so that we can proceed into the process. Of course, we cannot proceed to the process if this is something that you don't like to pursue in terms of your data. It's very important that everyone notes that that CIBI is compliant to these data privacy acts, and we want to make sure that our clients also know that when we are processing the data, we provide this information. So to those of you who would apply in the future, please read the data privacy. Don't just accept right away. Make sure that you read through it so that just in case in the future there will be like discrepancy, you know how we process your data. This does not just go with how we do the web app version here in CIBI. This would also be applicable to other transactions that you may have in the future when it comes to providing your data and documents. Next slide. So this is very easy. You just have to fill out all the information in the boxes. Usually the personal information, contact information, of course your login credentials is very important here. It's as if you are just filling out an application form whenever you would apply for your IDs, right? As you can see here, it's very straightforward. Our registration, we made to a point that the information that we are getting from you would be cross-checked when we do the verification process, because we have to verify that the person requesting for the report is the same person that is reflected on the IDs. Again, as mentioned, the pre-registration and the consent part is very easy. Next. When we're done with the registration process, we will make sure that we acquire the primary IDs like the SS, GSIS, or TIN. So I know most of the students would say that they don't have this. So maybe in the future you can have this ready when you want to get your credit report. Secondary ID would also be valid just in case you are already working and have the pertinent information with you. And lastly, you would have to upload your digital signature so that we have all the pertinent information to go to the next process, which is the verification part. So you see, it's very easy. It's plain and simple and straightforward. So once you have completed the information, the registration details will flash on your screen. So again, this would take about 2 minutes or to 3 minutes if you were able to accomplish, or if you have all the pertinent information ready and handy. Next slide. So part 3 basically is for the scheduling of the video conferencing call. We are also in the process of migrating the scheduling process to digital through eKYC, but for the meantime, so that we can accommodate the requests of our clients, we have a scheduling approach for the video conferencing so that we can verify the information. Next slide. So this is how the platform looks in terms of the scheduler. So all you have to do is pick from the details. It's the same when you apply for a passport. You would see the available options and slots that you can choose from if you're available. And once you have this ready, our verification team would set up a video call with you. Next slide. So this is what I'm pertaining about earlier, which is the verification process. When we do verification, it's important for us to know that the person we're talking to and the person who submitted the documents is the same. So when we do the verification process, it's usually with our verification team. And once we're done with this process, we can proceed to the next step. So the video conferencing is through Google Meet. Once our verification team sent you the link, they would also send an OTP message so that you'll have that as a PIN. And these are all very easy, especially every one of us knows how to use video conferencing apps, right? Next slide. The payment process is also made easier since we are a merchant biller of GCash. So at the moment, the consumer credit report will cost around 235 pesos. And of course, there's a convenience fee for using GCash. That's 25 pesos. So you can view CIBI on the platform of GCash just in case you want to pay through that platform. Or you can also use your credit card or debit card through Paynamic since we're also integrated with them. Next slide. So this is like a snapshot of how it looks like. So again, the fee for the credit report is 235 pesos. And here in this slide, you will see basically how it looks like and in terms of how you can input your information, which is the same with other providers. Lastly would be the score generation. This is the most important part. And you can get this within the day. Sometimes it will take faster, but of course, we don't want to overpromise to our customers. But this is something that we are improving. We also take pride in terms of the process by which we process the disputes and discrepancies from the end of the clients. So we'll also provide in the emails the steps on how you can file a dispute. Just in case you find any discrepancy on your credit report, you might file it through the CIC's online dispute resolution process, or what they call it ODRP. And you just need to enter the transaction reference number from your credit report, which should not be more than 30 days old to initiate the process. Next slide. So there, this is a sample copy of a credit report. As you can see there, there's 623, and the highest, as mentioned earlier, is 850. So once you have the payment and once it's confirmed, we will email you the consumer credit report. That's about it for our webinar. We are actually opening the comment box just in case you have questions or any clarifications that you want to ask me. I know it's a bit serious when we talk about credit, but I'm hoping that you guys are taking down notes, and in the future, I hope that you get your credit report so that you can assess where your credit score is at and if you are doing well in terms of handling and managing your finances and in your behavior in terms of credit. Thank you.
On our previous video, we provided an introduction on the credit score, its components, and where it was obtained. Credit scores are derived from the credit report provided by the credit bureaus or special accessing entities like CIBI. You might now be thinking what a credit report is and why you should know what it contains. If Juan de la Cruz used his credit card or acquired a credit transaction from a financial institution, his record is called a credit history. And if one's credit history was reported by several other sources, these will be compiled and recorded as a credit report. In the Philippines, Credit Information Corporation is the central repository and the regulating body for all credit information complied and reported by the submitting entities. Special accessing entities like CIBI, on the other hand, were given a special function to structure, analyze, and process the information in order to derive effective tools and provide value-added services that can help the financial growth of every Juan de la Cruz, small to large businesses, and even the economy of the country in general. This is a step towards the development of a sustainable credit information exchange in the country and anchored to the national advocacy called financial inclusion. The concept of financial inclusion is to provide easy access to basic financial services that can make a positive difference in the lives of everyone, particularly those in the low-income segments and those who live in towns or cities that has no present formal financial institution. We will discuss more about financial inclusion on our next video. Credit report mainly contains your identifiable information, credit information for each account you hold, and inquiries from institutions who has requested a copy of your credit record. Do you want to have a copy of your credit report? Have it by following these 3 simple steps. 1. Update your credit record with your submitting entity. 2. Ensure that your submitting entity is compliant to the CIC. And 3. Get your credit report from us. Visit our website for more information.
Again, thank you so much, Ms. Rochelle, for that wonderful and very informative discussion. So let us now proceed with the open forum. So may we request Rochelle again in the room for the questions. So
Hi,
for our
Eric.
hi Rochelle. So before we start or before we proceed, Rochelle, for our participants out there, for questions, if you have any, please type them in the chat box at the right located at the right side of your screen. So hello again, Rochelle.
Hi, Eric.
Yes, thank you so much for giving your time and your knowledge, all the things that you know about credit report and the extent of the services of your company. And it is great to have you here with us.
Thank you, thank you. Of course,
Yeah.
we would always have this engagement with universities, and we would love to talk about how we can empower the youth. Maybe in the future, once they have work, they'll be able to fully understand why we are talking about credit and why is it important. So it's a good starter for those students who are in the call today.
Yes, and this is an important day also because you are speaking, representing your company in front of of the FEU community, which is your home school.
Yeah, and I'm a very proud Tamaraw. I keep on saying that to you, Eric. And
Yes.
I hope this is not the last time we'll do this. This is actually the second time that you invited me over, and I want to keep on inspiring people about how important credit reports are. Why do we need to empower the youth on getting a credit report? Because now it may not make sense to them because they're still studying, but in the future, this will be very useful.
Yes, that is right. Now let us proceed, Rochelle, with the question and answer portion. Now here are some questions from our participants. Now, if a loan requester has a negative record, can he or she fix this to make the approval easier?
Yeah, I actually mentioned earlier that there's
Mhm.
a way for people who have disputes to apply through CIC, but we also encourage people to message CIBI. We can actually process that on their behalf. or if they want to go directly to CIC, we can also share that information to them. So filing a dispute is very easy, and that's something that they can fix. A lot of people who get their credit reports from us would have the same apprehension: why I have this, or why the updated version is not reflected on my report. So not most of the time, creditors won't have it reflected. So it's a matter of them updating it. And the only way you can do that is if you get your report and raise it to your creditor or the loan or bank provider who you ask loan from. So those are the things and measures that they can do. Again, as I mentioned, they can go to our Facebook page. They can message us directly, email social@cibi.com.ph, or they can go to the platform of CIC, which we'll be including in the email.
Yes, okay. There's a question right here, Rochella. For a freelance workers who do not have formal employer, which in turn would not have the usual requirements for a loan applications, how do I build my credit score?
Okay, I actually started as a freelancer before I have my marketing agency. So I know that with the pandemic, a lot of people would enter into freelancing. If you are a freelancer, I would highly recommend that you apply even through DTI under sole proprietorship. And through this, you are building your name. You're also giving a chance to those clients you have to know you better and to know that the legal papers are included when you submit your proposal, or just in case they would look for it. So if you are a freelancer, this is definitely that you can do. But since you don't have yet any information about you, you might as well start with applying through DTI. That's something that I would recommend. And of course, if you apply through banks and if you want a higher credit limit, these things would come handy later on. So those are my few thoughts. If you are a freelancer and if you want to build a good credit history for yourself, it might not be applicable to you now because you're still starting out. But definitely, if you want to grow your business, if you want to expand and also give livelihood to others, because that's how I did mine. I started on my own. When I started getting more clients, I am now starting to extend and ask help from others. And in return, I give livelihood to other marketers who would like to also offer their services, right?
Yes, that is correct. Now, this is a great question. Are the public loans such as SSS and Pag-ibig also included in a credit report?
That's something that we discussed with CIC before. So we'll
Yeah.
include the final details there, so that they'll be, of course, since it's also a government-owned entity, they've been working with those, but we don't want to give out a final say on that. So definitely after the call, or once we have finalized all the questions of the participants, we can email those information included in our postmortem.
Yes, that would be a great one. So for those who still have questions, please kindly type your questions in the chat box so that Rochelle could answer it right now if you are in need of the answer. So I think there's another question here. Is it necessary to get credit reports here in our country? Oh, okay, that's a great
That's a good
question.
question. That's
Yes.
why we are encouraging more people, and now that we are encouraging the youth specifically through engagement with universities, the reason why we encourage people to get credit reports, it may not be prevalent here in the Philippines at the moment, but soon enough, this would be a thing. Back in the years when we go through credit reports, when you check other contents and other credit scores from developed markets like in the United States, you cannot get, say, for example, an educational loan without a good credit score. So now that the Philippines is slowly getting into that pace, why not we also support the government and the partner institutions in this drive? So yes, this might not be applicable to students who are actually in the call, but in the future, this is something that banks and financial institutions would be asking. So that's why we encourage people to take note of the things that we mentioned earlier during the webinar in terms of maintaining a good credit report. Why is it important? Because if if you already have your work, your business, and you want to upgrade, then definitely these things will come into your way. Not now, but in the future. And of course, there are already institutions doing this. No, that's why CIBI, as an accredited bureau, we also help the rest of the population who's not yet aware of credit reports. So that's part of our advocacy.
Yeah, that is good. That is a great advocacy, Rochelle. You and your
Yeah,
company.
of course.
Yeah. Yeah, but another question, if ever if you have like a negative information, how long will it stay on my credit report, for example?
You know what, majority of the questions we receive is what you asked, what you just asked. So that's the question that we that always that is we actually love answering those questions because it's very plain and simple. So whenever there's a credit report, when you look at it, of course you will say that this is not updated, this is already done, I already paid this off, right? So the best way for you to have it updated is go to the bank. Say for example you have a home loan with a bank provider and it's not reflected on your credit report. All you have to do is go to the bank and ask them to update so that and on the database it will be updated. So for as long as you did not report that specific dispute or that update, it would still be reflected on your report. That's why get your credit report if you have your credit cards or if you have loans, so that you will know what will be your score or if you'll be viable for another loan. So those things play into that whole picture. And that's something that we always tell our clients. If you think that it's not updated, go to your bank and ask them to update it for you.
Oh, okay. Okay. That's really nice. Now, I think this would be my last question for this afternoon, Rochelle. No, but what impacts one's credit score the most? I think a lot of our participants are really curious about it.
Definitely would be your credit behavior. Your credit behavior is really important. So if you bought something online, make sure that you pay it before your due date. Make sure that you make sure that you pay off the loans that you have on time, because your credit behavior would definitely affect your credit score. It's very plain and simple. And now that it's we are in this whole pandemic crisis, it's very important to note these things if you are about to get your home loan in the future or your car loan. So wag masyadong kumuha ng loan kung hindi pa kaya. So always have that room, because you don't want to have this debts, running to you and screaming. You have to pay them off. So it's very important. You just, you know, live
Yes,
within
and
your means, diba?
yes, and yes, yes, and we'll never know. Baka once that we'll be needing of a loan, baka hindi tayo mabigyan because
Correct.
now we have a lot of because we've been saving up with a lot of things right now, and yun.
Correct. That's true, Eric. Yeah, I think that it's very plain and simple. So if just in case you would get a credit report and you saw a dispute, make sure and make it a habit to have it updated. Go to your bank and make sure that you pay off your debts on time. Yung mga due dates, make sure na on time ang pagbabayad. Right?
It's very, very important
Correct.
talagang for your due date. But anyway, thank you so much, Rochelle, for sharing
Thank,
your time and knowledge with us this afternoon. Okay.
thank you, everyone.
Yes, and on behalf of the Alumni
Thank
Relations
you,
Office,
Chef.
yes, that is Sir Selmer.
Thank you, Selmer.
Uh,
Yeah, so on behalf of the Alumni Relations Office, we are really proud that we have, alumni like you who have been sharing a lot of her expertise, not only outside of the university, but most importantly, in within the FAU community. Again, thank you so much, Rochelle.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, so we have a lot of takeaways with your discussion, and definitely we will be using all of this not only in the near future, but of course, starting right now. That ends our session. So please like, follow, connect, and subscribe to our official social media sites, which is the Alumni Relations Office. We are in Facebook, LinkedIn, and in YouTube. Again, the name is FEU Alumni Relations Office. So thank you all so much for attending this webinar session. We wish for everyone's safety, especially now in this time of the pandemic. Again, I am Eric Visda from the FEO Alumni Relations Office. Stay safe and healthy.